What were some times when you died inside? I went to an interview once where one of the two people interviewing me asked if I knew French. I said I knew core French, so they decided to conduct the interview completely in French. I can understand when someone speaks French to me. I can read and write fluently in French. But I can't for the life of me speak French. It was so bad that one of the interviewers got up and left halfway through and didn't come back. Needless to say, I didn't get the job. Was on a TV quiz show and totally f***ed up. Died inside when it was aired. Was on a Skype call for work with about 25 other people. Had the mic on my computer turned all the way up and was typing on my computer almost continuously. About 15 minutes into the meeting, someone finally aims me to turn off my mic because nobody could hear what was being said. Oh yeah, I've also been the one who was singing to my cat while on a conference call. This happened in my high school theater class. As a finale project, we and a partner, if we wanted, were to choose a song, monologue, dialogue to perform. I had a dear friend Emma, with a brave heart. She chose the song All That Jazz from the musical Chicago, which is a hard song even for seasoned performers. In Emma's 16 years of life, no one had told her she was tone deaf, nor had she figured it out for herself. You could feel how uncomfortable everyone was when Emma started to sing. Luckily, we weren't a bunch of assholes and politely tried to sit through it. We were quite close-knit, and mainly just proud to see our friends perform. Everyone had chosen their favorites and were so excited. So, we were painfully letting Emma sing her way through the song. Until, cue Ms. Ellen. She was hired as a front office person. She answered the phone, took care of attendants and kids whose parents called them in sick, etc. It was her dream, however, to be in the performing arts. So, stupidly, our theater teacher took on Ms. Ellen as an assistant director. None of us liked her, or this idea. After the first verse, Ms. Ellen began to sing the correct-ish pitch over Emma. I was horrified. She immediately lost all confidence she had and hurried her way through the rest of the song. The second-hand embarrassment was so tangible it was heartbreaking. Every single email after a job interview that says you meet all the requirements we ask, but unfortunately. When I was 18 and at a carnival with a group of people I knew from school, including my longtime crush, at some point, people started dropping off from the group, going on rides, getting food, that kind of stuff. Eventually, it was only me, my crush and my little sister, little as in almost 16. I kept waiting for her to leave, to go find some of her friends or whatever. After hanging out together for another 15 or so minutes, it slowly dawned on me that it wasn't him and me waiting for her to leave, but them waiting for me to leave. They shortly after became a couple for a few months. It later turned out that they got to know each other at my 18th birthday party 2 months prior. They never met before. When my sister got back later that evening, she told me that and said, "You don't mind, do you?" I did mind, very much. As a neurotic and anxious middle schooler, I decided to ask a girl to a dance. But through AIM shout-out to the late 2000s, she said yes, and the majority of the class ended up finding out. I thought everything was alright until I got a phone call from somebody else telling me that it was all just a joke. Once bought a bottle of Pepsi in a meal deal but didn't have space to put it in my bag. In my infinite wisdom, I decided to pour the contents into my reusable water bottle so I wouldn't have to carry both bottles. It was one of them bottles that has the straw in it and you flip the top up when you want a drink. Opened it in a little hardware store later in the day and the gas had built up in the bottle and it spurted out like a water gun all over the wall and ceiling. I was so embarrassed and tried my best to clean it up for them, but all the staff could do was laugh. One of them told me I was stood in the perfect spot for the CCTV to pick it up and he would be watching it back later. I found a resident at my work CNA crying, and when asked what was wrong he responded, "I have baby brains." For some context, I work at a traumatic brain injury center. For these types of people, this is their permanent home. And coming from someone who is usually caught in a 3-sentence loop, the self-realization was something I didn't think he was capable of. 6th grade all-day field trip to SeaWorld Orlando. Surprise period through my white shorts. All the moms who wanted to help only had tampons. I was 11 and had no idea how to use them. There ensued an embarrassing crash course. I was devastated until random dad saved the day by giving me his windbreaker to tie around my waist and told me to go have fun. Thanks random field trip dad. You saved the day. In 4th grade, my school had a fundraiser around Valentine's Day where you could buy a carnation for $1, or a rose for $2. It would then be delivered with a message to the person of your choosing. I liked a boy in my class, so I decided to buy him a rose and write a note from his secret admirer. Well, I couldn't wait for the rose to be delivered, so I wrote a note and slid it under his book when he got up to go to the bathroom. His friend saw because I'm about as stealthy as an elephant on roller skates. Friend took the note. Read it out loud when the boy got back. The rose came not long after. The boy took it, looked at me, snapped the rose in half, and threw it in the trash. Also there was the recurring instance of being the target of my friend likes you. EWWW no I don't. Does wonders for a girl's self-esteem, especially since my mom continued the insults at home. Interviewing a potential student who is interested in my school. He has a huge green circle around his eye. Wow, quite a black eye. What did you do? I was born like this. I received a set of boxes in the mail with no return address on a Monday morning. When I opened the boxes I started noticing stuff that is my mom's her handwriting on notes. This seems to be some sort of care package from my mom. Was in college at the time. As I opened more, there were all these documents. I was confused. Then I found the note. My mom committed suicide but planned it all out. She sent me a list of things to take care of now that she's gone. Now I hate getting packages. When my dad told me he was obligated to love me, but he didn't have to like me, I was 10, and I was absolutely crushed. When I was about 9 I was in a school assembly all 400 students and all teachers. At our school assemblies the students sat cross-legged on wooden floor in the sports hall. Well, I had to fart, and I assumed it would be quiet. It was not. It ended up being extremely loud and was amplified by the wooden floor. Having to repeat a clever off-the-cuff joke because the person was focusing on their phone. In the 7th grade, I got my back-to-school clothes. For some reason, I thought yellow pants and a yellow Hawaiian shirt looked awesome. I was excited to wear this new outfit. We were not wealthy, so having new clothes like this was a big deal for me. Sitting in my English class one received a note. It said, "Are you the mustard man?" and was signed by every person in the class, and as I read it, they all burst out in laughter. All of them. It's a moment in life where you have to laugh or cry, and either way you die inside. I chose to laugh. Kids are cruel. I had a customer who was holding and examining an awkward, fragile, and expensive item with one hand. I asked her to please hold it with two. She turned to look at me. She only had one arm. Freshman year of high school. Had a crush on a girl. All year long we would flirt and talk. I was too much of a pussy to ask, but not enough of a pussy to leave it be. We leave for summer. I think to myself, man, good thing I didn't ask her out. That would be so embarrassing. Just me trying to justify how much of a punk I was being. Next year begins. First day back. I had class with her best friend. As she talks to the girls in the class, one overhear in a whisper, "Yeah, she crush and her new boyfriend have been together for a week. I never thought she would give up on you know who, never asking her out." I turn and see all of them giving me the side eye. Needless to say, I died inside. It was embarrassing to say the least, and honestly a huge wake-up call. Never made that mistake again. Shoot your shot. I've told this story before, but there was a time when I knew I was coming down with what I was sure was going to be an absolute bastard of a cold. Already beginning to feel a little fuzzy in the brain, I decided to make myself some chicken soup in advance to get me through the worst of it. I chopped some carrots, chopped some onions, threw in a chicken carcass, and over the course of about 4 hours made the most bomb-ass stock you could imagine. Then my dumbass poured it through a colander directly into the sink. It took me a good 30 seconds before I realized what I'd done. Then I just sat on the kitchen floor for about 10 minutes, gazing at the opposite wall and wishing real life had a Control-Z function. farted and sneezed at the same time whilst queuing at a fast food place. Because of the sneeze, the fart shot out so fast it actually hurt my ass, so I screamed ouch. As it happened, felt like a proper bastard. Accidentally sent a picture of my tits to my family WhatsApp group instead of my guy. My mum replied by sending a recipe for Yorkshire puddings. At a company event. As we left, my colleagues were nowhere to be found as I walked outside, so I waited there. Turns out they were taking a group photo without me. 5th grade spelling bee. I made it to the school-wide level, which was the 3rd round. In first I had to beat my own class, then beat the other 5th grade classes, and next was the whole school. My first word was biscuit. Easy. My second word was soccer. Also easy, except for the fact that I was a bit nervous being up on stage, with the whole school in attendance, including my mom who was there for support. It got in my head a little bit. I heard soccer and thought, okay, this is easy. Remember, there are 2 C's in soccer. 2 C's. 2 C's. Step up to the microphone. C. O. Instantly knew what I did. Facepalmed myself in front of everyone. Dead inside. Despite this realization, and the fact I had already lost, my brain kept the letters mixed up and I spelled the rest of the word. SSER. Cossa. Any Cossa fans here? Or, as you may call it in your country, BUTFOL.